Good morning and welcome to this week's Grow, where we gather to recharge, organize, and work here as members of MWEG. We are so happy that you are here to join us this week. We have Annie Bentley-Waddups who, Annie, will you tell me what your exact title is?
Yeah, it's Senior Director of Strategy.
Senior Director of Strategy, but Annie also works with our Children and Families Advocacy Group, and so she wears a few different hats here at MWEG. So Annie's going to talk to us today about MWEG's 2024 strategic plan and what that's going to look like in this election year. And she'll share some pieces about that. If you have questions, feel free to ask questions. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn the time over to Annie.
Great. Thank you, Rachel. It's really great to be here today. I'm excited to talk about some of the work we've been doing in the last couple of months. To give you a little background before I talk about the strategy piece for 2024, we had a strategic plan in place that was scheduled to end at the end of 2024. So kind of that long-term strategic plan. And early this year, we took a look at that plan and realized that we had accomplished the goals that we had set out to do, which was wonderful. And given the kind of roller coaster year that we had ahead of us, being the election year, we thought it would be a great opportunity to take a good look, to do some kind of internal assessment and inquiry to see if there were some ways that we could be particularly focused and strategic as we thought about how to think about and prepare our members and equip our members for navigating this very specifically unique election year. And so that was the impetus of doing this. We kind of started calling it a planlet because we will still do a full strategic plan that will begin in 2025. That'll be more of a long range strategic plan that you usually do for a nonprofit organization. But we wanted to be really mindful and kind of go through that process in a really compact way to figure out how best to use our efforts and our resources in a really smart and effective and strategic way. So I'm going to share my screen and show you a few slides as we go through and explain some of these. And let's see. Start the slideshow. Okay, so our theme for our conference this year was Rise Up, Rise Above. And it is this very engaging the power of peace to transform our politics and preserve our democracy. And it's a little preview of some of the key words and our focus this year. Let's see. Oh, I have fancy sliding. So when we thought about the strategic plan, what we really wanted to think about was how do we want to feel as we enter 2025? And so we wanted to kind of create this postcard from the future and really think, no matter what the outcome of the election, how can we end the year and begin next year with our faith in democracy intact and our hope for the future? How can we feel like citizens that have an impact? And so as we did the plan, we were really trying to think about that, like greetings from the future. What can we do between here and there to get there in order to feel like we have sort of an approach that will bring a more peaceful, just, and ethical world, which is our mission statement. So just to give you, this is probably very small on your screen, but to give you an idea of some of the process that we went through. First, and again, this was compacted into a very quick month or so, but we really wanted to be thoughtful. So we went through an information gathering process and then took all of that data and organized it into themes. There's a little preview of what those themes were. Then we made some strategic decisions about like how we would go about that, and then made some goals. And so let's talk a little bit about how we gathered information and insights. If you were looking at your email around in February and are a member of MWEG, you received an invitation to participate in a survey, and that survey was specifically to help us inform this plan. And so we had a really great response, and I will say we had, in all, we have talked to or heard from 89 people informed this strategic plan. So we felt really happy about hearing from so many of you. And so I wanted to share a few of the things that you all expressed about what you wanted or needed from MWEG. So I pulled a couple of quotes here, and then the next slide will kind of give some major themes that we heard from the members. So one person said, just knowing that there are like-minded women out there who are passionate about the issues that I care about most keeps hope alive for me and eases my distress. And I chose this one because I think it's important to remember that we're all part of this for each other. As we gather on the app, as we share information, as we enact some of these skills and approaches, we provide and lift each other. And so I think, we are all women who are passionate about these issues and are providing this experience. Someone said, continue to help us learn how to better make peaceful connections and influence those around us in any party to hold to the law instead of going beyond it. And then we also had quite a few that were expressing gratitude. Just another big thank you for all the work you do. I know that the work can be arduous and thanks can be few and far between. Keep emphasizing the importance of ethics and truth. And so that was another theme, sort of that desire for hope, that expression of hope that we really do want to keep alive. So here are some things that you suggested we could really concentrate on in order to provide sort of your needs this election year. And these, I chose these because they happened multiple times. So these were not just one-off quotes, but these were general themes that came up a lot. You really want some clear and truthful information. You want some motivation, but some happy, hopeful motivation to keep from being discouraged this year. You see MWEG's ability and hope that we will continue to be a big tent with many ethical voices. You asked for resources, to help the voting public to be informed, to protect our freedoms and the importance of voting for democracy, fact-checking and places to look for good information, peacemaking, again, clear, truthful information, and voting guides, calls to action, continue to share ways to have tough conversations and be a strong voice, teach me how to interact peacefully and what things I can do to make my voice heard. I want to keep learning. And I love that part. I think we are a learning community, and I love that attitude of just being open to continue to learn. And we certainly at M1 hope to provide those opportunities to keep learning this year. Okay, so just to share a few emerging themes. And Rachel, feel free to break in. I can't see anybody on the screen anymore because I have that full presentation mode on. So just break in if you want to ask me any questions or if anyone has any.
Yeah, and I'll if you guys want to put them in the chat, then I can let Annie know as well.
Okay. And if there's not any, that's fine too. But I just don't want to miss anybody because I'm not looking at the comments. So as we looked through, in addition, I'll just share, in addition to the member survey, we also conducted interviews with MWEG staff, with volunteers, and with external organizations that know MWEG well. And those were all really helpful. We were getting a sense, not just about MWEG, but also a sense from people in the know about sort of what challenges were ahead this year and what might happen and in what ways we would need to prepare. So all of those things, in addition to some really great work on the MWEG team, contributed to putting this plan together. So one clear theme is peacemaking, and we are all about that at MWEG, but it became clear that really leaning into peacemaking this year is going to be very important, both on several levels, right? Sort of the internal peace that we can cultivate, the interpersonal peace, the building peace into the systems and family and ward and neighborhoods that we belong to. And then in the greater American context, like how do we really add a peaceful lens to the advocacy work that we do? Within MWEG, it became clear that we wanted to grow some of our strategic capacity, and I'll get into what some of these mean in a little bit. We wanted to really help build the community, both building the beloved community largely about, in modeling and being a Zion, growing toward a Zion community, but also internally in MWEG, making sure that we are providing the kind of outreach that brings people in and helps people find us who are going to be thrilled to find like-minded sisters to engage with and members, and also for those members and volunteers that we already have to really make sure that we have opportunities to really connect with each other. And then finally, democracy. We do a lot of advocacy in all 5 of our areas, but it's clear that democracy is going to take kind of front center stage this year. All right, so you might be wondering, like, what does that mean? And as we were thinking about what these themes and priorities were all about, this is how we put it. For democracy, this year we will courageously advocate for ethical government by focusing on protecting the rule of law and strengthening the democratic election process. This doesn't mean we won't be doing advocacy in the environment and immigration, children and families, rooting out racism, but the democracy piece, that 5th advocacy area, will really be important. And a lot of that other work we can do through the lens of protecting democracy. Second, the peacemaking. We will be ambassadors of peace by teaching and practicing peacemaking grounded in objective truth. Community, we will empower and inspire women of faith to be principled citizen voters by nurturing and growing our MWEG community. And finally, the strategic capacity. We will develop MWEG's strategic capacity in order to meet and adapt to challenges to ethical government this year and prepare for the future. And so, in particular, that last one, we don't know what the coming months will bring, and there are a lot of features of this election that we've never encountered before. You already have seen that, in the first few months of 2024, and so developing our processes to be able to detect kind of threats to democracy, to be able to detect issues that might be arising, and be able to quickly flex and develop things that will be helpful to our members is one of the things that we're really working on. Okay, so I'm going to get into some of the specific imperatives. So those 4 are our main ones, and each one have some sub goals that I think will be interesting to you. I will say a lot of these goals you'll be hearing more about soon, because these teams, collaborative teams within MWEG, have already been working on programming and thinking through how we can best serve you in these areas. But you can see here that we will, I'm going to quickly read through these again. I'm sorry to, you can see these, but for the first one on democracy, we're going to build trust, knowledge, and participation in electoral and political processes. We have a team that's working right now. They call themselves Team Trust, and they're developing really wonderful programming that will start this summer to help build our understanding and trust in the system. Practice courageous and focused advocacy through the lens of protecting democracy, self-governance, and the rule of law. And then amplify our impact through strategic partnerships, and I'll add relationships and collaborations too, not just official partners, and collaborative internal teams. Within peacemaking, we will concentrate, I mentioned before the many levels. So this first one is equipping women of faith to practice peacemaking interpersonally. So developing a peaceful mindset and a way that you can practice peace in your relationships. The second one, bring a peacemaking lens and courageously move toward conflict to help bring peace and constructive dialogue that is grounded in objective truth. So this is partly MWEG, but it's partly equipping our members to bring a peaceful lens to neighborhood discussions, to family discussions around politics, around democracy, or really anything. And then finally, practice and model peacemaking through candor, curiosity, and reparative generosity. And this is about how we interact with each other. This is about how MWEG members and volunteers and staff approach times of conflict. And it's also how we approach our work out with other organizations, that we always want to approach things with candor. We don't shy away from stating our opinions or advocating, but we always want to be curious about the other perspectives and always give the benefit of the doubt and give grace in that kind of stance of reparative generosity. So we'll be working on some programming and kind of amplifying what that means. In the community, we are going to educate and empower through focused messages, programs, and narrative frames. So that's about our communications. And I know a lot of you see our wonderful communications, memes, our social media. This is about that. This is about continuing to develop those focused messaging and narratives. We want to grow our membership and reach. We'll be working on a membership drive, foster connection and belonging among MWEG's diverse community. We have a great team working on that, and primarily we'll be developing our MWEG Central, the app, as a really wonderful and fully fleshed out place for people to gather. And then finally, empower women by building their personal capacities and skills, which is always at the heart of the work that we're doing. And then internally, you might just be interested to know that we are working on developing a system to anticipate potential threats or challenges to MWEG or to democracy. We really are establishing processes to sense threats and seize opportunities and nimbly respond. We have started a new way of managing our projects and goals in order to help us get more effective in articulating in our teams who is accountable and how to collaborate together effectively. And then finally, we will be cultivating and generating our financial resources for now and into the future to make sure MWEG is strong. I think that's my last slide. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing. So that's a little bit about what we are thinking of and focusing. It sounds, I know, both focused and kind of like, yes, this is what MWEG's about, but it was really important and has been helpful for us to know where to really lean in and where to keep working, but give ourselves sort of space and make sure that we use our time and resources and attention in a way that really matters to you. And so we feel like that was pretty responsive to both the survey and to all of the information that we gathered about what would be helpful this year. Any questions that you saw, Rachel?
No, I didn't see any questions. I don't know if anybody has any questions that they were wondering about. If you have questions about anything that Annie talked about, this is just our way of kind of showing you how we're set up to provide for our members and the things that MWEG is thinking about internally of ways that we can be the most effective for the community, but also, it's all about our members and how we can help all of you navigate this election cycle. So as Annie was saying, we'll have some stuff going forward for 2025 as we think about that, but we're just buckling down for now and focusing on like she said, a lot of heavy democracy focus, because that's what the feedback we're getting from our members is that that's really important to all of you. So Annie, thank you for joining us on the Grow today and
Sure.
laying this out for us. And
Yeah.
we will put the recording from it will be on YouTube. So if any of you want to go back and watch it later, it will be there. And we will put a link to that YouTube in the Facebook discussion group and on MWEG Central. So hopefully you can
And
tag your friends on there as well. Oh, go
that would be
ahead.
great. I'll just add, I wanted to say just at the very end that I am really excited to say stay tuned, because I think I've been seeing the work that people are putting their heart and souls into here. And I think you're going to be delighted by the resources and the conversations that will be happening on MWEG Central and throughout the year as we work through this and navigate this together.
Yeah,
It
and
feels good to kind of put some work behind it and give some hope.
I would echo that. And if anybody, if you attended the conference, go back and listen to some of those conference presentations. Those are there's a lot of hope there. And there's also a lot of information. There's some of the women that presented, they give
So
such,
good.
I'm thinking about Maria Stephan's presentation about sharing how much women were involved in that democracy. So if you registered for the conference, you can always go back and watch those videos. They're available to you. And so that's just a really great thing. And I would invite you guys to join us for the Grow next week as we talk with Megan Woods, who is our root director and specifically our nonpartisan root director. So she will kind of explain what that is and how MWEG navigates that and just share. So it'll be a really fantastic thing that we're just hoping that, going this plan that Annie's laid out and going throughout the summer, that we will have these kind of building block grows that will give you information, and then MWEG will provide resources and other virtual events and different things leading up that will be valuable to our members. So we just, like Annie said, stay tuned and stick with us. So thank you for being with us today, and we'll see you guys all next week. Have a good day.
Thanks.